All right. Hello, everyone. I have to apologize because, um, as you've been joking around in the comments, um, that it was definitely a boomer tech issue. Even though I'm not boomer, I'll claim it because I totally just did the whole show to myself alone. Um, but let's try that again. Welcome to Politically Incorrect Knitters. My name is Anne Pinkava. I am not joined by my co-host, Deplorable Knitter, because she is recovering from her surgery today. So, give her the time off and, and I'll come in. Oh, wait, hang on. Let's see. She may join us. I'm not sure. I don't think so. Anyways, so yes, again, apologize to everyone who has been waiting. Again, I totally biffed it in that I saw people commenting and therefore assumed that we were live, and we're not. So, anyways, oh, and to start out, of course, our episode is, oops, sorry. Let's see how that goes in. Okay, sorry. Anyways, our episode is sponsored, as always, by Lynn of Chicken Lady Fiber Arts. You can use our promo code PIK Deplorables for 20% off your order. She has a couple of new pre-orders out that she has a pastel, different rainbow colorway called Friday Night Knitting Club, and the more fruitily named FAAFO, which I believe was named by poll, but it is the most lovely green. There's greens and golds in there with like little speckly bits of purple. It's absolutely fantastic. I ordered some myself, so I'll show it when it comes, but I'm very excited. So this year, as many of us feel very strongly, and with losing anybody, especially during the holidays, you feel it. But since Rush Limbaugh has passed away this year, and he was such a strong conservative influence for a lot of us, I thought it would be fitting to sort of uphold his tradition of reading the true story of Thanksgiving from his book, See, I Told You So. He also wrote a children's book called Rush Revere and the Brave Pilgrims, because, as you will see, he was very concerned about education, and part of being thankful for being thankful, and not just thankful in a personal sense, thankful for our own families and for our own, for the blessings that we have personally, is thankful for the blessings that we have as a country. And in our founding, which is really remarkable in all of human history. So, hang on. Sorry, I just want to, again, running tech and reading at the same time. And I'm hoping that in reading this again, my voice won't fail because it was already kind of going. But again, I was reading it just for me, so at least I had a practice run. But anyways, let me bring us back. And here we go. Always have to clear your throat before reading. All right, and again, Rush Limbaugh's book, See, I Told You So, the true story of Thanksgiving. All right, the story of the Pilgrims began in the early part of the 17th century. That's the 1600s for those of you in Rio Linda, California. The Church of England under King James I was persecuting anyone and everyone who did not recognize its absolute civil and spiritual authority. Those who challenged ecclesiastical authority and those who believed strongly in freedom of worship were hunted down, imprisoned, and sometimes executed for their beliefs, even in England. A group of separatists first fled to Holland and established a community. After 11 years, about 40 of them agreed to make a perilous journey to the New World, where they would certainly face hardships but could live and worship God according to the dictates of their own consciences. On August 1st, 1620, the Mayflower set sail. It carried a total of 102 passengers, including 40 pilgrims led by William Bradford. On this journey, Bradford set up an agreement, a contract, that established just and equal laws for all members of the new community, irrespective of their religious beliefs. Where did the revolutionary ideas expressed in the Mayflower Compact come from? From the Bible. The Pilgrims were a people completely steeped in the lessons of the Old and New Testaments. They looked to their ancient Israelites for their example. And because of the biblical precedent set forth in Scripture, they never doubted that their experiment would work. But this was no pleasure cruise, friends. The journey of the New World was a long and arduous one, and when the Pilgrims landed in New England in November, they found, according to Bradford's detailed journal, a cold, barren, and desolate wilderness. There were no friends to greet them, he wrote. There were no houses to shelter them. There were no inns where they could refresh themselves. And the sacrifice they had made for freedom was just beginning. During the first winter, half the Pilgrims, including Bradford's wife, died of either starvation, sickness, or exposure. When spring finally came, Indians taught the settlers how to plant corn, fish for cod, and skin beavers for coats. Life improved for the Pilgrims, but they did not yet prosper. This is important to understand because this is where modern American history lessons often end. Thanksgiving is actually explained in some textbooks as a holiday for which the Pilgrims gave thanks to the Indians for saving their lives, rather than as a devout expression of gratitude grounded in the tradition of both Old and New Testaments. Here's the part that has been omitted. The original contract the Pilgrims had entered into, which their merchant sponsors in London, called for everything they produced to go into a common store, and each member of the community was entitled to one common share. All of the land they cleared and the houses they built belonged to the community as well. Bradford, who had become the new governor of the colony, recognized that this form of collectivism was as costly and destructive to the Pilgrims as the first harsh winter, which had taken so many lives. He decided to take bold action. Bradford signed a plot of land to each family to work and manage, thus turning loose the power of the marketplace. That's right. Long before Karl Marx was even born, the Pilgrims had discovered and experimented with what could only be described as socialism. And what happened? It didn't work. Surprise, surprise, huh? When Bradford and his community found that they were the most creative and industrious people had any harder than anyone else, unless they could utilize the power of personal motivation. But while most of the rest of the world has been experimenting with socialism well over 100 years, trying to refine it, perfect it, reinvent it, the Pilgrims decided early on to scrap it permanently. What Bradford wrote about this social experiment should be in every school child's history lesson. If it were, we might prevent much needless suffering in the future. The experience that was had in the common course and condition tried sundry years, that by taking away property and bringing community into a commonwealth, which would make them happy and flourishing, as if they were wiser than God, Bradford wrote. For this community, so far as it was found to breed much confusion and discontent and retard much employment that would have been to their benefit and comfort. For young men that were most able and fit for labor and service did repine that they should spend their time and strength to work for other men's wives and children without any recompense. And that was thought injustice. Do you hear what he was saying, ladies and gentlemen? The Pilgrims found that people could not be expected to do their best work without incentive. So what did Bradford's community try next? They harnessed the power of good old free enterprise by invoking the undergirding capitalistic principle of private property. Each family was assigned its own plot of land to work and permitted to market its own crops and products. And what was the result? They had very good success, wrote Bradford, for it made all hands industrious, so as much more corn was planted than otherwise would have been. Bradford doesn't sound like much of a Clintonite, does he? Is it possible that supply-side economics could have existed before the 1980s? Yes. Read the story of Joseph and Vero in Genesis 41. Following Joseph's suggestion, Genesis 41:33, Pharaoh reduced the tax on Egyptians to 20% during the 7 years of plenty, and the earth brought forth in heaps. Genesis 41:47.
In no time, the Pilgrims found that they had more food than they could eat themselves, so they set up trading posts and exchanged goods with the Indians. The profits allowed them to pay off their debts to the merchants in London, and the success and prosperity of Plymouth settlement attracted more Europeans and began what came to be known as the Great Puritan Migration. And then, going on, moving from the Pilgrims to the founding. But guess what? There's even more that is being deliberately withheld from our modern textbooks. For example, one of those attracted to the New World by the success of Plymouth was Thomas Hooker, who established his own community in Connecticut, the first full-fledged constitutional community and perhaps the most free society the world has ever known. Hooker's community was governed by Fundamental Orders of Connecticut, which established strict limits to the powers on government. So revolutionary and successful was the idea that Massachusetts was inspired to adopt its body of liberties, which included 98 separate protections of the individual rights, including no taxation without representation, due process of law, trial of a jury of peers, and prohibitions against cruel and unusual punishment. Does all that sound familiar? It should. These are the ideas and concepts that led directly to the U.S. Constitution and Bill of Rights. Nevertheless, the Pilgrims and Puritans of early New England are often vilified today as witch-burners and portrayed as simpletons. To the contrary, it was their commitment to pluralism and free worship that led to these ideas being incorporated into American life. Our history books purposely conceal the fact that these notions were developed by communities of devout Christians who studied the Bible and found it prescribes limited representative government and free enterprise as the best political and economic system. And, sorry, now I'm paranoid. Want to make sure I'm still here. All right. This brings us to our founding fathers, the geniuses who crafted the Declaration of Independence and the Constitution. These men who shook up the entire world by proclaiming the idea that people had certain God-given freedoms and rights, and that the government's only raison d'etre was to protect those freedoms and rights from both internal and external forces. This simple yet brilliant insight has been all but lost today in liberalism's relentless march towards bigger, more powerful, more intrusive government. Don't believe the conventional wisdom of our day that claims that these men were anything but orthodox, Bible-believing Christians. They were quite adamant in stating that the Constitution, as brilliant a document as it is, would work only in context of a moral society. Our Constitution was made for a moral and religious people, stated Second President John Adams. It is wholly inadequate for the governance of any other. George Washington, the father of our country, was of like mind. He said, of all dispositions and habits that lead to political prosperity, religion and morality are indispensable supports. James Madison, primary author of the Constitution, agreed. We have staked the whole future of American civilization, not upon the power of government, far from it. We have staked the future upon the capacity of each and all of us to govern ourselves, to control ourselves, to sustain ourselves, according to the 10 Commandments of God. The 18th century Irish statesman and orator Edmund Burke, some of whose precepts form the core of conservatism, eloquently stated in his 1791 a letter to the member of National Assembly, men are qualified for civil liberty in exact proportion to their disposition to put moral chains upon their own appetites, in proportion as their love to justice is above their rapacity, in proportion to their soundness and sobriety of understanding is above their vanity and presumption, in proportion as they are more disposed to listen to the counsels of the wise and good in preference to the flattery of knaves. Society cannot exist unless a controlling power upon will and appetite be placed somewhere, and the less there is within, the more there must be without. It is ordained in the internal constitution of things that men of intemperate minds cannot be free. Their passions forge their fetters. Sorry. Little Edmund Burke will take the breath out of you. Many Americans look to the government for their salvation today. It dominates so many aspects of our lives. And for too many liberals, government has become their religion. And there are many opportunistic politicians who would encourage such dependency. It empowers them. Our founding fathers understood this threat and warned about it. What most Americans don't seem to understand is how fleeting and rare freedom has actually been throughout history. Nothing lasts forever in this world. We have become spoiled by 200 years of liberty. Particularly the post-World War II generations have no concept of sacrifice and the incalculable costs of freedom. This ignorance, born of complacency, is dangerous, folks, for all of us, because too many Americans are ready to trade their freedom for security, even a false security. If that choice is made, it'll be made out of ignorance, because Americans simply don't know their own history, much less that of the rest of the world. And as American philosopher and writer George Santayana said, those who don't learn from the past are doomed to repeat it. Americans today seem ready and eager to trade in everything for which their forefathers fought and died for an autocracy that far surpasses anything King George III ever dreamed of. Why are we so oblivious to what is going on? Though I'm not given to conspiracy theories, some have suggested the degradation of our educational system is so profound that it could only be a deliberate attempt to deny America's young people of their cultural and political heritage. For the new textbooks, from the new textbooks, the children of the American Republic will never gain knowledge or the slightest incentive to participate in public affairs, wrote Walter Karp in Harper's 1980 in an article about the sad state of U.S. textbooks. No reader of these degraded texts will ever learn from how to judge for themselves what will be a secure or endanger their freedom. The new textbooks have snuffed out the very idea of human freedom, for that freedom at the bottom is precisely the human capacity for action that political history records and that textbooks are at such pains to conceal. What the political history of textbooks reveal is that a powerful few, gaining control of public education, have been depriving the American Republic of citizens and popular government of people to defend it. And the American history textbook, so innocent-seeming and inconsequential, has been their well-chosen instrument. Unless we know where we have been as a nation, it is impossible to know where we are going. Our public education system is so bereft of this country's seminal priorities and values that our kids are being hopelessly shortchanged and deprived of that essential background. Think about it. At the time of drafting the Declaration of Independence, before we were even a nation, the quality of education in America was high. As Alexis de Tocqueville wrote at the time of the Constitution's 50th anniversary in his masterpiece, Democracy in America, in New England, every citizen receives the elementary notion of human knowledge. He is taught, moreover, doctrines and evidence of his religion, the history of his country, and the leading features of its Constitution. In the states of Connecticut and Massachusetts, it is extremely rare to find a man imperfectly acquainted with all these things, and a person who is wholly ignorant of them is a sort of phenomenon. All right. How could this be? Why there wasn't even a Department of Education? There were no public schools. There was no National Education Association. Why were people better educated before the American Revolution with no public funding than in 1993 when we were spending in excess of $100,000 per classroom? And boy, howdy, it's more now. You can't fully appreciate how screwed up modern liberalism is without contrasting its vision or lack thereof with the broad view of our nation founders. Americans throughout history, from the earliest settlers to the generation that fought World War II, have always understood and accepted sacrifice. They intuitively knew that there were things worth dying for. The early pioneers tamed a wilderness. Nothing was handed to them, and they sought only freedom and a better life for their children. Today, government is taking away our freedom and mortgaging with debt the future lives of our children. But not to worry, government is more than willing to provide you with food stamps, welfare payments, unemployment benefits, daycare, socialized medicine, free condoms, subsidized abortions, you can name it. And can't you see how the vision has been turned upside down? The founders knew that they were bestowing upon us not only an ingenious political system of checks and balances, limited government, and a legacy of human and civil rights, but it'd be up to future generations to make it all work. But it would only work, they warned, rereading the quotes from Adams, Washington, and Madison, if society was girded on a bedrock of solid values and Judeo-Christian principles. Where and how did we lose our moorings? With such great start, why do we allow liberalism, relativism, secular humanism to poison our nation's soul? And what can we do to recapture the original American spirit of freedom and individualism? And then, as at the end of this chapter, it's a promo for the next one saying, "Don't lose heart, my friends. As we return to our founding principles, the best for our country is yet to come." So, anyways, I said that is more about the founding than the Pilgrims today, but I thought it was all very important. And like I said, there is more in the children's book, Rush Revering the Brave Pilgrims, and all, again, all very excellent, well-researched book. Great way to introduce kids to it. And yeah. Oh, there we go. Sorry.
Can you hear me?
I can.
Oh, good. Thanks for sharing that. Sorry I look like crap, but I thought I'd just pop on.
I just pop in to say hello at the end of the story.
Yeah, no, I had never heard that before, and I know you sent those books to my kids. They were a little bit higher level, but maybe this year we can get into them.
Right. They are, well, probably late elementary, early middle school.
Yeah, and we're not quite there yet, but small doses.
Right.
So, you did that for a whole group of nobody listening earlier?
I did. I read the whole dang thing.
Oh, man.
Yeah, it's all right. It gives me practice.
It was good. Thank you for doing it. So what's new with you?
Not a terrible lot. Had a happy Thanksgiving with my family. I had some other people over. It was a good time. And yeah, I hope everyone else had a very, very good week. A happy Thanksgiving, or for our international viewers, a happy day after or week after Stir Up Sunday and into Black Friday, because we've exported the consumerism, not the day of thankfulness. So.
Oh, that's interesting. I didn't know that. So you got to see family?
Oh, yes.
Good.
I hope you're doing well.
I am. I had Thanksgiving. I didn't go with my husband and my kids. They went to my dad's house, which is like 45 minutes away. And I knew I wasn't up for the car ride. So I went to my mom's, who lives just around the corner. And that wrecked me. And all I did yesterday was knit. See, I got a new hat on. But yeah, no, I have been hanging out in my bed, which is kind of boring, and I feel like I could do stuff, but then I get up and then I'm like, oh wait, never mind. So that's okay. But yeah, I just wanted to say hi. Thanks for sharing the thing, Anne. Anything else?
Well, it is a Thanksgiving tradition.
Yeah, I never heard Rush do it. I'm going to have to look him up and listen to it. But, oh, my mic went out. Oh, maybe not. So, yeah, I got nothing.
Well, that's okay.
Not much to say when you've been hanging out in your bed for a week, so.
Hey, that's fine. Well, it gives you lots of opportunity to knit and listen to stuff and.
Mm-hmm. I've been listening to true crime podcasts, and actually they're really good because they put me to sleep, and so it's kind of apparently true crime is relaxing to me, so that's what I've been hanging out doing.
Dream a little dream of murder.
Whatever, it works. So yeah. But yeah. I'm gonna run because I look like crap. I look like I've been in my bed for a week, so.
Well, it's all right. I was just going to finish out by saying again. Again, thank you to everybody, and this is a time of thankfulness that we're very grateful to our audience for sticking with us for a year and a half now.
Yeah,
and I when we started this, I was sincerely surprised. How many people were interested. And again, for those of you who have been here since the beginning, and for for new followers, thank you. Sincerely, thank you for your support.
Yes. We appreciate it, because if you guys weren't here, we wouldn't be either. So it's important. But
right.
All right.
But yeah. Oh, and to
yes.
Sorry, I have to remember our beats. But also, as we've said before, with having good books to read for everybody, that with different, we have the Rush Limbaugh book. Also James Golden, who's both nerdly on the show, just came out with a book, Rush on the Radio. If you want to sort of listen to more of his personal history with Rush. But if you're looking for a nice non-woke book for around the holidays, our friend Cody Schlegel has a book called Odyssey Tale. It is a mix of ancient Greek myth and sort of modern fairy tale in a fun new way. And his book is on Amazon, that you can get physical copy, Kindle, or Audible. So go ahead and check him out.
Yep. And Anne and I are going to get together, since I'm hanging out in my bed a lot. We're going to put together a list of people we have worked with and have had on the show, kind of like a little holiday gift giving. If you need some ideas, we're going to send that out hopefully next weekend. So yeah, stay tuned. Get on my mailing list. Go on Deplorable Knitters mailing list, because that's where it's getting mailed to. So yeah. Check out Cody Schlegel. Check out Chicken Lady. She's got a new colorway that I'm really, really thinking about getting, called Friday Night Knitting Club. It's inspired by the book cover from that book, which is an awesome book. And use our code PIK Deplorables20 to get a discount. Get some of her yarn. Good for holiday knitting. I have some bulky and super bulky patterns coming out for quick holiday gifts. So if you're thinking about ordering some yarn, maybe get some of the chunkier stuff.
Yeah, I think she has some of the chunkier yarn on discount too. So I don't know if that stacks, but I mean, woohoo.
I know, right? I love discount yarn. It's my favorite thing. So, all right. I have to go. So,
right. And all right, you rest up.
All right.
All right. Bye.
I don't know how to leave. So,
well, I was about to wrap it up anyways. And again, thank you so much to everybody. I hope you all had a great Thanksgiving, great week. Happy Hanukkah upcoming. And yeah, we will definitely see you soon. And again, check us out on YouTube, Rumble, Vero, MeWe, Parler, Gab, all the rest of them. Telegram, Facebook, Instagram, big ones. But
yep. All right.
Sorry, the half stutter. Problem with going live. Anyways, thank you all again, and have a good
week. We'll see you guys next week. Oh,
right.
Next 2 weeks we have interviews. Make sure you tune in. We got two sisters and some yarn, and Knitting McPurley coming up. So we will see you guys soon.
All right.
All right.
Have a great week, guys. Bye.